Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our regular board meeting. Today is Wednesday, October 16th, 2019, and we're calling this meeting to order at 6:36. We can have a roll call, please. Director Cody? Here. Director Morrison? Here. Director Paulson? Here. Director Wilson? Here. Director Aiken?
Here.
Wonderful, and then we'll continue with the Pledge of Allegiance. Ellie, would you please lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And then adoption of the agenda. We have comments.
I'd like to amend the recommendation in the agenda for item number 3. And this is just so that we don't have to read an entire resolution. And so my request is that we introduce the ordinance by title only, waive the first reading of the entire ordinance, and discuss and keep the It's all the same. This is everything the same. We have public testimony. The ordinance is contained in our board packet and public distribution. We just don't have to read it in the public. Introduce it by title only, waive the first reading, and discuss and keep public.
Okay, I'd like to pull item number 9, review and approve the full facility meeting. We've got a recommendation out of committee to approve it, and we don't have the appropriate information.
Are there any comments on the agenda? Okay, do we have a motion on one or both of these items? I will make a motion
To approve the agenda and recommend changes to item number 9 and number 10.
Okay,
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to approve the agenda with removing the pool fee, number 9, and making the, waiving the full reading on item 10.
Before the board takes a vote on that motion to pull item 9, the reason that the school fees are coming this month is that the 20 are returning members and getting ready for their calendar year and doing the budget and establishing fees. So it's important that they know what the district is charging so that they can be effective in their fees. Also, looking at historical information about the pool fees, I'm not really sure is relevant because the district, as in the board report described, is kind of using a new measure and new philosophy with our student team and our agreement. And so that's helpful. So I would encourage you to hear items.
So, discuss that we requested of Parks and Recreation that the reason for the rate increase was explained, that there was nothing put into the package to help the board understand how this is an arbitrary increase, and there's nothing to base it on.
And I disagree with that. I've got it from our committee. So right now, we have a motion on the floor to approve the agenda with removing item 9 and we have a second. So Holly's first, who seconded that? Ellie did. Okay, so vote please.
no, before we have voted, it's open for discussion after motion. So I just would like to ask Director Morrison, understand what you're looking for some historical about. What is it that you hope to ascertain by that, that you would either help or change what we're speaking to?
I I think that the recommendation from the general manager is arbitrary. There's no relevance to the 3% increase. There's no way to understand how much that's covering the actual cost of usage by the swim club. And it doesn't serve us to go into another agreement if we're not covering our costs. We had a breakdown of our pool pump last year that cost us thousands and thousands of dollars, and we are looking at like $1.51 per hour increase, per hour, not per swimmer, per hour. And I don't believe that the rate request will satisfactorily cover the cost of operating our pool. And if we're looking at all our contracts, then out of committees, we did, Director Scobie and I did want to move this out with the promise from the general manager that she would provide in the packet substantial additional information for us to make a reasonable fiduciary decision.
I don't quite agree with that. I would encourage my fellow board members to hear this item on the pool fees. On the pool fees, I would encourage my board members, instead of deliberating here, we leave it on the agenda and we deliberate it when we get to item 9.
Now, the clarification, we do not have to make a decision by the meeting after.
Exactly. So right now, we have a motion, and we'll take a vote. The motion currently is to remove item 9 and to amend item 10 so that we are not reading the full ordinance. Do we have, okay, vote, call for vote? Do a full vote? Okay. Do I call the meeting or do you?
Director Scobie?
No.
Director Morrison? Director Carlson?
No.
Director Wooten?
No.
And Director Eason?
No.
Okay, so that's 4-1. Motion fails. We have another motion to adopt the agenda.
Let's make a motion to adopt the agenda with the adjustment that we can do the full reading of the general manager recommended in this meeting of item 10. I'm sorry. Right over that. A motion that we approve the agenda as recommended by the general manager, not reading the full text of item 10. We can discuss it today, but we do not have to read the full text except for the title as she stated.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second?
Okay, the motion is to amend adopt the agenda with the amendment not to read the entire content of the ordinance. Call for vote? Do a full vote?
Director Scobie?
Aye.
Director Morrison?
No.
Director Carlson?
Aye.
Director Wooten?
Aye.
Director Eason?
Aye.
Okay, agenda is adopted with a change to not read the full ordinance on item 10. Okay, moving on to our recognitions and presentations. And let's just kick that off.
So is Karen and Bevan here?
There she is.
Grabbing here.
Grabbing Karen. I would like to introduce Governor Campbell, and Karen is on her way, Karen Guthrie. They're going to make about a 10-minute presentation about their book, The History of Cameron Park. Hopefully all of you have had a chance to peruse that in the back. They're providing a brief overview of creating this book. They will not be taking questions at the end, but they will be in the reception area afterwards if you have any follow-up questions after the presentation. So, anyway, take it away.
Is she on her way?
It's a sign of motion that is flying. Hurry up. So, anyway, well, thank you all for being here for the board meeting, of course, and those of you who joined us out in the reception area for the book. It was a one-year project that turned into five, no surprise, because many of you have been participating in book writing. Anyway, just quickly, because we don't want to take up any of your time beyond what we were given. So I just want to briefly say that I've lived here from 1977. Anyway, but I'm one of those, like many of us, that lived here but worked in town. So I didn't have a lot of connections to the community, and didn't think much about how Cameron Park was established or how its name or any of the details about the wonderful place we live. But Karen and her husband Gail, on the other hand, were embedded in the community and were intimately involved in the development and all of the decisions that could make it a community. So Karen, you want to speak to that? Sure.
My husband Gail, whose picture is out there, you need to know that he didn't wear sideburns his entire life. It was in one of the printouts that Dorado Estates made when he served for the third developer of Cameron Park. And I asked my kids, "Do you want a newer picture?" And they said, "No, that's the father we remember." So there it is. He loved Cameron Park. I don't know when I want to talk about the three developers, probably later. Okay. But whenever we had company come to town, well, first of all, we had to find a map to find out where El Dorado was. When the job came up for him to be house counsel for the third developer, First Mortgage Investors that took over the mortgage. And he loved it so much, anytime somebody came to town, he had to drive them here, there, everywhere, and it was really quite exciting. Okay, and then for me, the important thing for me, Gail passed away in 2007. I kept hearing people revising history. And so it felt so important to me that we get an accurate history of Cameron Park. We did our best as much as we could before more people passed away. But Gail saved a lot of documents, and we had mutual friends over many years. So that's why I sought an author and ran across my neighbor, Beth, who is a published author. So she's done most of the writing.
So, I didn't push the right way. There, I'm going to let you do this. Technology is not my friend. Yes, so incidentally, we have this beautiful place, land before development of trees and unchanged mountains and so forth. And then you want to click the next one. So this is how the land was before any of this moved here, which some of you may remember. So in this untamed land, the Camerons came along, as did others, to picnic and enjoy the valley, the foothills out above the fog and below the snow, as the saying goes, which you probably hear or experience yourself. So when they ultimately lost their two ranches in Sacramento to eminent domain, one is where the airport now is housed, and one is where American River College is now located. They remembered coming up to that beautiful land and determined that this would be a good place for them to relocate. So once they did, then Larry Eastside had remembered that about this city that he had become familiar with in France. And these are the kinds of things that he wanted to create here in this environment. And as we go through this, you'll see that a lot of what he wanted to occur did take place. He wanted to have
small ranches where you could ride your horses and have biking trails. He wanted a country club with a top-rate golf course. Oops, one back, one back. If I could do this, I'd be reading. There we go. He wanted the air park with the 2 feet high signs so you could taxi your airplane to your hangar attached to your house. I know when we first came, we were driven over there by a real estate agent. I said, why are all the signs so short? Until we realized why. He wanted a lake where you could swim and boat, fish. He wanted a Tom Sawyer Island. He wanted parks scattered throughout the community where you could play baseball, adults and children alike, and enjoy the natural environment. He wanted a complete self-contained shopping mall, shopping center, that he titled the Stockade, that would look much like Knott's Berry Farm in Southern California. He wanted churches, he wanted schools. Next. He wanted a library, a community center, and a fire station. And you'll see we had our original fire station that evolved into the current fire station. So, Karen, how did we turn all of this, how did we get from there to here?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sure, I need to push the button. You're the button lady and everything live. And while we're waiting for that, Rich Samples, have you been introduced? No. One of the early fire chiefs of Cameron Park. And he had some great stories, and you might see some of them in your book when you receive your book. So about the troubles that they had, they're really great, and I appreciate what you contributed to Cameron Park as well as to our book. Thank you, Rich. So these were the first ranches that Ruth and Larry purchased. 6 different ranches. You can see Highway 50 and then Green Valley up on top. The large ranch on top was part of the Hollister Ranch, and we had Dick Hollister here this evening, the son of Hollister, who had so many acres down at Hollister, the town of Hollister. So we were lucky to have him. And it's his property that had a little pond that became our lake. There were, next slide please, Larry and Ruth Cameron were the first developers. And we're never certain whether he expected to bring his cattle up just to ranch or that he wanted to do a subdivision. But he bought everything in 55 and 56. And in 59, he did the development, the 5-acre parcels, which I used to call South Cameron. It's now Cameron Estates. And then he started doing Unit 1 on the north side. So he really went into, because the land was not good for the number of cattle that he had, and he cut back. So he had to, in a short time, he was able to get, notwithstanding the surveying, the county planning department, the planning commission, the board of supervisors. Gee, but you'll be surprised with this. He got that through in almost 5 months. You don't do that today. But they were different times back then. So he was able to do a couple of units in Cameron Park of lots. And they were bonded for all of the infrastructure costs. And apparently he ran out of money. It's not really clear about that, but then he started marketing to sell the property to others. The second developer came along, Ray Henderson, you might have heard his name. He went on to develop Rancho Murrieta. And that was in 65. And Cameron kept the property substantial property north of Green Valley. Ray, I was told that he got $7 to $15 million from the mortgage holder, a mortgage company, the REIT, First Mortgage Investors. And he went crazy building. But what he did was to build Larry Cameron's dream, which is amazing. He didn't change it in 1,000 ways. He followed that structure. And then, for some reason, Dorado Estates, the partnership of Ray Henderson and a few, well, they weren't paying what they needed to pay. So the mortgage holder took over about 1972. And that's when my husband and I came up, and he served as house counsel. Dick Smith, we've got Dorothy Smith and Dick's daughter, Dick and Dorothy's daughter, Kim Beal, here as well. That's when they served for the third developer. This was not uncommon. Same thing happened in El Dorado Hills. But the challenges that occurred to all of the developers were the economy, first of all. Secondly, are we running out of time? I'll cut it off. Okay, but I want to go through those simple challenges. The economy, Aerojet closing, Maker closing, nobody wanted to drive, gas prices went crazy. So it was really tough to build a community, but we finally done it. So, thank you so much for your time.
And thanks everyone for coming this evening and hearing the presentation and being at our community center. We really appreciate your participation, and if you'd like to stay for the whole board meeting, you're welcome. We have a quick question.
We're wrapping up what is going on out there, and there's one lesson that's on, and I'd really like to take it from home.
Okay. Okay. Feel free to bring back your wine glasses.
Sorry.
Thank you, everyone. All right. We'll wait a few minutes. Thank you, everyone. Mike, did you introduce our presentation?
Good evening. It's my honor tonight to award or introduce 3 different young men who completed their Eagle Scout projects. One, we had a new scoreboard that was constructed at Rasmussen Park, and then the other 2 were building new picnic benches and a slip rail fence at Paul J. Ryan Park. I think it's easiest if I go through one at a time, and then we can do all photos after I've done all 3 of the presentations. That way you guys don't have to get up and down. That's not good. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go out of order, because I know Eric has somewhere else to be tonight. So Eric, why don't you come on up? You'd like the number 1. So I'll just introduce the project, and then I'll let Eric kind of take it away. So Eric's project, and I quoted it in the Camera Park Live, it was probably, I've been in this Parks and Rec for 20 years, and this is probably the most ingenious and creative project that I've ever seen. It is a new scoreboard for Rasmussen Park that is solar powered and that can be utilized from a smartphone. So just that in itself is a volunteer project. It's pretty expensive. But I'm going to go ahead and let Eric kind of talk about his slide. Talk about your project.
So the first step of my project was getting the metal outline of the scoreboard, which I had to clean extensively, and it was of course donated to me by Intech in Folsom. So I had to clean it extensively because it was sitting in my garage for so long because of the rain. I just couldn't put it in. You can see I was drilling the holes on the picture on the right, and I chose a really poor time to do that because right after I did that, it started raining, and it filled the holes for about 4 months. So that ate up a lot of my time. So yeah, that was sitting in there for a while. This is the day that we actually got it in. It was in the spring in March. I I don't remember the exact day at this time, but as you can see on the bottom, the picture on the right, I have all my sponsors. You can see Intech, the Western Signs helped me put up all the stickers on the front, and you can see all the scouts working on the left. And then this is the mound that I made. I took the old green mound that was just like a practice mound. I redecorated it with new turf and a new plate and reinforced it with epoxy. And then the back stump was just like a last minute thing. I just kind of wanted to fix it up because it looked bad. I just sewed it up, nothing too special. And then these are the final pictures. You can see the scoreboard working, displaying scores. You can see me standing next to all the completed portions of my project. And then on the 27th, I'm going to have a dedication ceremony. So if anyone would like to come out and watch the game or play baseball, please RSVP by the 20th.
I want to say about Eric's project too, that it's more than just an Eagle Scout project. Ponderosa Little League and our softball, and people will be able to utilize the scoreboard out of Athens and that we didn't have before. So it's a great asset and amenity to the community. Okay, so next I'll have Arizona come on up. So Arizona. Okay. All right, we'll mix it up. Indiana, come on up. Okay, so Indiana and Arizona approached, and their dad approached us with wanting to get their Eagle Scouts completed in the Hacienda Park. They've been talking about a split rail fence along the creek in the parking lot for a long time, and decided some picnic benches would look great out there too because they didn't really have any. So Indiana's project was the split rail fence, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that.
First off, my project, I would say, isn't nearly as impressive as Eric, but I did a pretty good job. But hi, my name is Indiana Alder. I'm currently a Life Scout in Troop 958 of the Boy Scouts of America, and part of becoming an Eagle Scout in this organization is to develop and work on an Eagle Scout project, which is basically a project meant to benefit an organization other than the Boy Scouts. And being that I grew up in this area, I felt that it would be nice to do something for the community that I've been around with my whole life. And so I went to my grad school here to look for ideas for my Eagle Scout project. And while talking with Mike about possible options of work for my Eagle Scout project, one idea that caught my attention was the construction of a split rail fence that went along around a 15-foot deep ravine that was located at the Hacienda Dog Park. And also the church that I attended was actually right next to the dog park, so it was very convenient to find and gather volunteers to help me with this project. And so I agreed to work on this split rail fence. And shortly after the meeting with Mike, we went out in a fundraising project, which is part of the process of the Eagle Scout project. And we ended up getting very good discounts on lumber and materials from stores like Lowe's, Home Depot, and Diamond Pacific. And after that, we got to planning out the project and eventually gathered volunteers and started work on it. Oh yeah, I forgot next slide. So yeah, that's the 15-foot deep ravine I was working on there. Next slide. And there's another look at it as well. Next slide. And that gets to my next part. And so I agreed to work on the split rail fence, and shortly after the meeting with Mike, I have a fundraise the project. And so we were initially going to dig the holes by hand, but that ground was so rough and hard, so we rented an auger to help with the digging. And once we rented that auger, man, the speed of the project just flew. That thing was doing God's work, and it got us a long way. You can see the auger in the back right there, that yellow machine right there. And then after that, we then put the posts in the ground. There it is right there. Followed by a good amount of cement per hole, and then we added some water to help pack the cement in. And later, we then added and screwed in the corral boards that go in between the posts there, which wasn't really a big problem. And finally, we added some redwood stain to the completed fence that give it a nice look right there. And afterwards, we got some opinions from the park holders there, and they loved the finished project. And in conclusion, I'm glad to have helped to contribute to the community that I grew up in for all my life. I'm glad that Mike gave me the opportunity to work on this split rail fence. So thank you.
So I just want to say the split rail fence project came to light after we cleared cut off the end of it for fire fuel reduction. We didn't realize Evergreen was that steep from the parking lot, so could be coming at a better time. It looks great. It also provides a safe park. Last but not least, Arizona. So Arizona, Indiana's brother, wanted to work on a project at the same park. So we decided building some picnic benches since the park didn't have any. They had one or two that were in pretty poor shape. There used to be a nice concrete bench where that one picture is, where a tree fell and crushed it. So some picnic benches were much needed. So would you talk a little bit about your project?
Hi, my name is Arizona Alder. I'm currently a Life Scout working towards my DOA. I met with Mike Grassley to discuss about Eagle Scout projects. Mike said there was some needs at the Hacienda Dog Park, as you already know. My brother's project was making a split rail fence, and my project was to build three picnic tables. As you can see on this slide, some of the existing picnic tables were in bad shape. There's a slide missing. Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh. So, that's how wobbly the tables were. Yeah, it was pretty bad. Okay, moving on. Lowe's was kind enough to give us picnic table kits, 50% off, so the cost of the tables was $150 total. So in the picture, you'll see that we have assembled the picnic tables right there. Next slide. And then Home Depot gave us a $50 credit. I was able to buy redwood stain and paintbrushes and paint rollers, and you see me right there working on the stain, just pouring it. Yeah. Here's one the table's finished. We replaced the old broken one, as you saw earlier in the slideshow. Several people at the dog park commented how nice they looked, and they were happy to see that we had more tables and improved. Alright, and then we placed the other two in shaded areas as we were cleaning up. I was excited to see that a family was using that chair in particular, that table. I'm pretty sure that the redwood stain was dry by the time they sat down. I hope it was. And that's my project.
And you can see the condition of the benches. I guess I got to put on the park staff's list to go through and tighten up some of those benches. So I guess I'd like to have all three of the Eagle Scouts come on up here, and we can take some pictures with the board members. With their certificates.
Take this moment to thank the dads and the moms and the families that support the Scouts in these projects. It's really awesome that you thought of certain parts for you, certain districts, and you guys are doing that.
All right, I'll go on the far side. You guys act like you like each other. How about that?
You're the one that can sing it.
There you go. Get one with the rest.
Yeah, just a bit.
Oh, okay. Good job. Great job.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone, for coming. Okay, and now moving on to the next presentation is a overview of the CSDA conference, and that's me. Okay, everyone, I attended the CSDA, which is California State District Association, California Special District Association Annual Conference on September 24th and 27th. You have a clicker? Yes. What exactly is this? Well, it was a 3-day leadership conference sponsored by the California Special District Association, and it included keynote speakers, breakout sessions, award presentations, a vendor pavilion, and it was very beneficial. I lunched and met and conversed with several different types of attendees there. There were additional other board members like myself. There was staff of special districts, general managers, and I even met a California state government official who was also there in attendance. What I enjoyed about this, palling around and talking to these people, is it really helped put our district in context with California. I've met a lot of districts that do just one service. So I've met mosquito vector control districts, cemetery districts. One was a veterans memorial district. There was a flood district. Not many of them provide as many services as our district does. So we were somewhat unique, but very similar in the fact that we had issues with, providing services. We would have, we had public input, and we had similar issues, very close to ours, issues that we face here, budget issues, financial issues. So it was really interesting to see local government throughout the entire state, very similar to our own. So I'm very budget oriented, so I thought it was important that everybody know how this was paid for. The SDLA is the Special District Leadership Association. It's actually administration, academy, my bad. And it's actually an arm of the CSDA. And they provided a scholarship of $625, which covered my conference fee. The district picked up the $275 for the academy module and the hotel. I paid for my own airfare, my meals, my transportation. And because of the government academy module, it actually got us a discount on our insurance of $333, and that's what that CIP credit means. So because they feel it reduces risk if board members and staff are educated, that they will give us a credit on our insurance. So the total cost of the district was $501.02. The sessions that I attended there on Wednesday, it was all day in the Leadership Academy. On Thursday, it was breakout sessions, and Friday was breakout sessions. Sprinkled within those days were keynote speakers, award presentations. And one of the award presentations was very interesting because our sister district in El Dorado Hills. They won a prestigious award for community outreach, and they had at least 5, 8 members there getting trained for the district, and they outperformed. They were top in the state. It was very heartwarming to see them there. Some of the items, this good governance slide is taken directly from that Wednesday session, and I encourage anybody who wants to look at it, I have it here. That slide was taken from here, and it talks about various skills that are needed for effective directors. And so I thought that would be of interest, and I encourage all my fellow board members, anyone looking to be a board member, to look over this manual. Another part of good government that they really discussed is that the board is a team, and that there's various functions that we serve that are important. When we get things done, we need to celebrate our results. We need to make sure we're accountable. We encourage commitment to the board, taking the time needed in order to get our job done. And value conflict is an interesting one because we're not all supposed to be cookie-cutter board members. We're supposed to be different. There's value conflict means that we are supposed to come in with different perspectives, and it's our job to work things out and make sure the entire district is covered. And also, we need to create trust in order to get our job done. And I like this slide. I don't think it's clear, so I'm going to explain it. But this is actually a roadmap on how to get our job done. So they recommend 4 steps in order for us to come up with making decisions. And the first is to appeal to shared values and perspectives. And that, for us as board members, is pretty easy. We're all here to represent our district and to do what's right for our district and move things forward. From those principles that we agree on, we work down into the details. And part of those details is making sure we have the information we need and is presented clearly, and all our options are available to us so that we can make a final decision, which is item 4. And item 4 means, as we're discussing, we come up with our opinions and we have our thoughts and concerns. But once the board makes the vote, it is now transitioning to we, as in the board makes these decisions together and we support the process. Even if we didn't vote for it, it does mean that we support the process, and this is how the board is moving forward. So I thought that was very, very interesting as well. The highlights I came away with is that as a board, it is our responsibility to bridge gaps and build consensus and do what's right for the district. That is our job up here. And they're also saying that board meetings are to be focused on decisions, not updates. The updates we're supposed to be informed and prepared when we come to the meeting so that we can take the time to make the proper decisions and deliberate those together. And this one I thought was really interesting as well. It was a challenge that was put out there, and they say, as a board member, it is our job to listen. We listen to the public, we listen to staff, we listen to each other, and when we're listening, you should not be formulating your response. You should be listening. So I challenge you to pay attention when you are listening. Are you formulating your response, or are you actually listening to what's being said? I thought that was very important. And that the boards are actually designed to have different demographics in them. In order to properly represent a community, you need people from different walks of life. You need different perspectives. We all should not be cookie cutter, the same people from the same walks of life. It's very important in order to fully represent your district that you have different demographics. And why do you attend this? Well, I definitely recommend for new board members that the training is fantastic. It really helps you get up to speed quickly, and for both the board members and staff. And it also provides you keeping up to date with what's going on in the local government. And it allows you to learn and improve your skills. You're never done learning and improving your skills. That's something that is done all the time. And I think for our district, I'd like to talk about make sure that we budget in the future for all directors to make sure to get training and what type of schedule that would look like. You don't have to go to a 3-day conference like I did, but we do need to get training. I think it's very important. And I also think it's very important that we look towards getting the District of Distinction. When I was there, this is my nifty badge, and it has this nice little yellow band on there, and it says District Transparency Certificate of Excellence. And there were not a lot of districts who were bragging about that, so I was very impressed that our district and staff did that work to get that for us. The next step, there was other people with one more down here that said District of Distinction, which means that not only are you transparent, but you have done the education for the board members and staff. And I think that would be something that would be very important for our district. And this is why we're all here. Our mission statement, we are to preserve and enhance the quality of life and to safeguard the health, safety, and welfare of our community. That's my conference. Thank you very much for your attention. Okay, and now moving past our recognition of presentations, we move on to the approval of the consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
I'd like to make a comment about the consent agenda. Obviously shocked and surprised to see that it had been amended without it being brought back to the board. I'd like to bring your attention to the conformed agenda of September, which is under tab number 4. As you see, we've lost all of our department reports, the administration report, finance report, recreation report, parks and recreation, and the CCNRs. We've lost all of that information. If you look on page 6 of 7 under tab 4 of the conformed agenda for the Wednesday, September 18th, 2019 board meeting, you'll see at the top of the page, this is under board information items, matters to and from. Director Scobie said that her comment was, would like to run meetings more efficiently. Board gave direction to staff to research and bring to budget and admin committee and then to the board. It was never brought to the board. The agenda is just changed, and I'm not happy about it. We have time for all this other stuff, but why don't we have time for the people's business of this district to review? We've got 4 departments: administration, fire, parks and recreation, and CCNRs, and we don't have those reports.
Public comment. I think nothing about what Holly talked about in the agenda that we received.
Should we take public comment on that? I guess we could do that. Well, actually, typically the process is typically the board will discuss it, ask questions, and then we take it out for public comment. So I would like to respond to Holly's comments there. The staff reports that were under the former agendas are extended. There's copies sitting over there at the table for the public. They are online currently. They're online before the board meeting. They're already online because of the same reports that came through committee.
When does the board get to discuss the reports?
If you let me finish, Holly, I will get there. So I'd also like to let you know that the content of those reports are also summarized in the general manager report, if you read that. We also report out on these committees under matters to and from, and this is also discussed in budget and admin, and it is, that's why it is discussed through committee as well. And if you would like those copies, Holly, they can always be placed in your binder. So
I wasn't brought before the public at the board meeting, so that
Holly,
director gets.
I answered that. They are on the table. They are here at the meeting.
And when does the community get to discuss them?
Let's go ahead and get some comments from
You're
each
not
other.
going to answer me. You're not going to
You're-
find out.
I'm not bypassing you, Holly. We're trying to allow everyone to speak on this subject. You're not the only one who can speak. I will answer your question.
Why does it not?
Oh, it's come, because policy, policy allows the staff and the acting president or the president to make this change. It was also vetted through legal counsel.
So the general manager and the interim board president railroaded the board so that Ellie's committee, our committees don't have a report before the public.
That's not true. It's summarized in the general manager's report. Let's hear from some other board members on their thoughts on this. Felicity, would you like to say anything?
Yeah, just following up on the training slide that was just presented from CSDA, where the purpose of our meetings is to make decisions. This, to me, makes sense. This way we can spend our time on items that require a decision from the board. I am and have been able to review these reports online, and they're also here. So since they do not require decisions, I don't think that it's necessary that they be brought up.
Ellie, do you have any comments on this matter?
I have to say that I'm in conjunction with Felicity, because we have the ability to have all the answers to these questions. So why would we go over them and over them? If the public wants them, they are there, they are available. And whatever you're asking for, and while I'm speaking to you, so that's just my view.
Eric, do you have any comments on this issue?
The only thing on that, first of all, I want to make sure that the board doesn't necessarily feel railroaded. I understand there's some who on the board who would. I know I was in the discussion with the Budget Admin Committee. It wasn't clear to me that it was going to happen at this meeting, but I understand the policy that allows the president and the general manager the legal counsel to do that. I would also make note that we were duplicating efforts in our meeting regarding these committee reports, because we also have a committee report at the end of the meeting, which I think allows us a chance to also do the same thing. If there are concerns or things that individual board members either want to bring to the board or address, it's still within the confines of our meeting. So there was some duplication there. And we did, in our budget admin committee, talk about trying to make it available in every way possible to whoever in the public would want to see them review them. And in open forum, the public is free to bring those reports up, to bring any issues that they want to address from that. So we removed that from the board meeting. We simply changed the process and the order to consolidate it. That's
The reports are from the supervisors. They're not items brought by the general manager to a committee meeting to discuss. They are separate and independent reports on the state of the union that you are throwing out of the meeting for the board as a whole to review. Thank you very much.
Do we have a motion to approve our consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to
Ellie's making a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Felicity, second. So do a roll vote?
on which report?
Director Scobie?
Aye.
Director Morrison?
No.
Director Carlson? Aye. Director Wooten? Director Easton?
Question. Public comment?
Oh,
We're
yeah.
not supposed to have
We're right. Not
Look to allow public to
So-
speak as well.
bad. Yes.
So I don't think we are in order to do it.
Okay, hold on a minute.
So
So,
I'd like to allow public to speak.
Jason, is the motion struck right now because we didn't take public comment? Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and hear from the public. Thank you.
I'm going to say that when I was at the Budget and Admin Committee meeting, I thought we were discussing not putting a check register on the consent calendar. While I can understand you want a more organized meetings and you want them to be approximately 2 hours long, I also feel that you are hiding, not deliberately hiding, but you are not coming forward with all the information for the public. People aren't going online and reading these reports. They should be included in the packet, and I had hoped to see them in the packet, but they're not in the packet. This is where we can read about vandalism at the state park or things that are broken down or things like that, and I find it of interest. I don't like the fact when I hear budget and admins making all these decisions, that's two people. You guys don't even bring it forward to the full board. I'm here at all meetings. And if I'm not here at all meetings, I listen to the recordings. The general manager and the president of the board, Monique, are not the only two people representing the people of this community. There are I would like to say 5 elected board members, and nothing against you, Eric, but some of you were appointed, and then you were re-elected, and Eric was appointed. And you're here to do the business of the people, but you're not even allowing one of your board members, it's like you're ganging up on her with a 4-to-1 vote every time. She brings up issues that are important. Where is the information for us to see? Oh, it's online or sitting on the table. Ridiculous comment. Of all the years that I've been coming here, 15, and all my years in public service, ridiculous. You're not being transparent. You're streamlining these meetings to meet your needs, to be 2 hours long, but you fill the first hour of the meeting with presentations. I love the scouts, but the other 2 presentations really didn't need to happen. You had your social hour in there, have a separate meeting. I love that book. I love what these women have done. But I didn't need to listen to you, Monique, about your conference. If you want to keep these meetings to 2 hours, and people need to know that's all your goals here. You all want to be here 2 hours. You want to walk out that door, and some of you are known to walk out before the meetings are even over.
Thank you. More public comment?
Yeah, I don't know why. 14 years I've come to board meetings, and overall, over the 14 years, most of the time, I felt that these meetings were held for the people that sat out here in the audience. This is the first year that I felt, but, and they're going to say it's just me. It's not just me. We had the last board meeting, and it was mostly about Paul Ryan, and there were 6 previous board members at that meeting. And what I heard from 5 of those board members told me that they found that, and they all used different words, but they all were negative about this board, so I'm not going to bring them all up. I heard dysfunctional, inept, incompetent, and ignorant from 5 out of these 6 previous board members. Now, did they have the greatest boards? No. But they had a lot of intelligence and a lot of ability, and they got some things done. So when they're commenting about this board and saying some of the same things that I've said, but I've watched you people for almost a year now, and I'd love to hear each one of you stand up and state what you've accomplished in this year. Boy, if it's good, it wouldn't be honest. But to say that you don't want to listen to the people in this community, in my mind, that's what you're doing. You do not want to listen to us. And as far as, I hate it when I hear the word excellence in here, because there is no excellence up on this board. And value conflict. No, you don't.
Thank you. Would you like to have anyone else like to speak to on this? Sure, go ahead.
Hi, my name's Craig Matthews. I've been a resident here for 6 weeks, and we decided we're going to become part of this community. And just a couple observations. We walked in the door, and here's a piece titled Agenda. Usually when I see an agenda, I see things that are going to be decided upon and discussed. There's nothing about that here. After I made that comment about what Holly was talking about, the gentleman came up and gave me this packet of information. The board would do a great favor to all of its citizens if you could just distill everything down, so when we come to meetings like this, we have a quick understanding of the issues. And, and then if you're going to vote on anything, at least we have an understanding of what you're voting on and who's saying yay and who's saying nay. That's all I got to say, and I love to live in it.
Thank you very much. Welcome. Any other further public comment? Okay, now we're bringing it backwards. We had a motion and a second, and we had a vote on the go ahead. Let's see. The motion was to approve the consent agenda as written. And so let's go through that vote again. Yes, we did have a first. Ellie made the first.
Ellie made the first,
And Felicity made the second.
and Felicity made the second. So,
I'm going to ask one clarifying question. We're still, before we take a vote, is it still on this, correct?
excuse me?
We still discuss as a board before the vote, correct? Thank you. Just a clarifying question for Director Morris. Would it be your desire here to have the reports as previously listed, put back into the agenda, and the issue brought to the board for a vote here for that kind of change? Is that what you were asking for? And if I'm not making sense, I can try again.
I couldn't really hear what you were saying.
What I
Mind ish to have.
is it your desire to have
For a discussion?
is it your desire to have the consent agenda returned to its previous order, meaning having the department reports listed, and then having the request for an agenda change brought to the board and voted on here? Is that what you were hoping for?
My hope is that the information that the supervisors of the few departments that we have, that their observations for the previous month are brought forward to the community, so the community understands the state of the field, the state of the fire department, the state of the recreation program, and that they are open and transparent and available for the public to see. Decisions that the CCNR committee makes. It is completely different than the report that Director Wooten would give on her CCNR committee. It's completely different than the report that Director Scobie would give on budget and admin. It's two completely different things. It's a part of the record of the daily activity of the district. Simply part of the agenda, not to be gone into in any great depth unless there's something important that comes up.
And I understand your explanation. My question is...
I understand what your question is, but we're beyond that. The director, the interim president, and the general manager have pulled any transparency on the day-to-day activity of our specific departments. They've been pulled in your voting lines.
I think it's worth saying publicly, I disagree with that statement. We have full transparency. Reports are available, everything is available, except we're not being presented in this meeting the way it has been
It's not
before.
being presented in the monthly agenda. Oh, gee, that's interesting.
Okay, so shall we continue with our vote? Joe?
Mommy, make a decision.
Okay, so we're going to get started again. Director Scobie? Aye. Director Morris?
No.
Director Carlson?
Aye.
Director Wooten?
Aye.
Director Eaton?
All right, the consent agenda has been approved, number one. Moving over to open forum, where we get to hear from our members of the public. They speak on any item not on the agenda that falls within the jurisdiction of this board of directors. And comments are limited to 4 minutes per person, and we look forward to hearing your revealing and respectful remarks.
I sat in on the last budget admin meeting, and and much of the talk was, again, shortening the meetings. So I thought I would come to a meeting tonight and we'd get going at 6:30. Well, no, we didn't get going at 6:30. And we finally got a meeting at 7:24. How the hell do we shorten a meeting if we take almost the first hour on bullshit? That's all it was, except for the Scouts. I love the Scouts come every year. I love their presentation. They keep it to their 10 minutes. Why didn't we have one of these little clocks on these people that are standing up here, and especially board members that love to hear themselves talk? Not all of them, but some of them love to hear themselves talk. That's what we had in the budget admin meeting. We had board members that just wouldn't shut up. They just rambled on, asked questions about things that they should have known about before they even got to that budget admin meeting, but they couldn't stop talking. So we allowed 3 groups, should allow the Scouts to have 20 minutes because they're fantastic kids and they did unbelievable things. But Monique's presentation just rambled on and on and on. And we do not need someone here that's selling a book in our board meeting. If they want time here, let them have time somewhere else. So doing this is just ridiculous. Are we going to stop it? I don't think so. But if we don't, look what time it is. You people say so many things, and you don't mean anything that you say.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak?
I give a lot of my time to the senior lunch program. I have from the first day it started. I sit in all the programs that they have, and I love coming to help the seniors. The problem we have a dishwasher that hasn't worked for a month. Now, if that isn't complete stupidity, I don't know what is, because we have people that come here every Monday and every Friday that depend on getting a lunch. And what they get is this little crummy box with some stuff in there that one of the people that has come for all the years that this program has been running looked at and said, I will go out in the parking lot and eat dog crap before I'll eat what's in this little box. So how much longer do you expect these people to show up? Not much. We've gone from 25 people down to, last couple of times, 12 or 14, and this isn't going to work. Now, government's running this program. If I was running a restaurant,
Please wrap it up.
I was running a restaurant, and my dishwasher broke down, and I waited a month to replace my dishwasher. Guess how many customers I'd have? I'd have the going out of business sign up. Why don't we fix the dishwasher or get a new dishwasher?
Thank you very much.
Mike Grassley can give you that update.
What's that?
Mike Grassley can give you that update.
I got the update from Mike, and it's not acceptable to me. You fix the dishwasher or you get a new one. Simple.
Okay, Nick?
I really think that when the member of the public gets up here, that your general manager shouldn't be coming back and engaging in conversation. I'm tired of it. I really. And I do want to say to the lawyer, I know I mentioned that a couple meetings ago, that you also shouldn't come back at me like that either. That wasn't called for you. I have the perfect right to say what I've said about Ellie Wooten getting up during a meeting and conversing with you in a sidebar. I didn't need for you to come back the way you did and the look on your face. And I have the recording. So I just think you owe me an apology. That's just the way I feel about it. I'm a taxpayer here. I'm paying you. With that said, 4 to 1, 4 to 1, 4 to 1. That's all I'm seeing anymore is 4 to 1. Really surprised out of Felicity, 4 to 1. Really surprised. But this is what I have to say. I don't like the fact that you guys are going to hide everything in committees, and this is what you're doing now, and this is what your plan is. Because I never see how you bring your information out of committee, really to the board, where it's completely vetted. And this is our problem here. It's called transparency. Monique, you can go to all the conferences you want. I went to tons of them in my 26 years. But you're going to learn by the seat of your pants here. You don't listen to the constituents You don't listen to me, you don't listen to Bill, you don't listen to other people. You don't probably particularly care for us because we're like a thorn in your backsides. But as long as I live in this community, I am going to be here at every meeting, and I'm going to say, what are you doing? Tell me what you've done. Where are we at? You know what I've seen since we got a new general manager? Changes. Everything's being changed now. So when she goes, we'll get another manager, and I guess we'll get changes there too. Now, I'm not saying that all the changes are bad changes, but I think some of the changes could have been set aside for more important issues. One of them is our budget. Here we are in the 5th month of the budget year, and we have no final numbers. What excuse are we giving that we have no final numbers? You are a very small agency. I work for a fire district that had a much larger budget than you did, and it didn't take us 5 months to get our budget, our prior year budget done. What is I have asked, I'm not getting it, I have asked and gotten an answer, it's coming in November. Why is it coming in November when you were given your final tax payment from the 18-19 year by the County of El Dorado in the middle of August? Why do we not have our final budget numbers? I want an answer. I don't get it. So hopefully, Monique, Eric, this is your team on your committee. Why are we going to be in the 5th month November, when we get our final 18-19 budget numbers? I worked for the city of Placerville before El Dorado County Fire. They presented their final numbers before the 5th month. County Fire, we had our numbers. And you know what? I worked before there were computers, people. And we had to do it by hand and input it by hand. But here we are, month after month, not knowing where our final numbers are. I am very disappointed in this board. You're not managing the manager. The manager is so busy hiring people and making changes, the important people's work's not being done. We're in financial trouble. A lot of people don't know that. But I guess when this manager moves on and we get a new manager, everything will be the way that manager wants it.
Thank you. Is there any other further public comment? Okay, moving on to our general business. Items removed from the consent agenda for discussion. There were none. Moving on to item 9, review and approve pool facility use bids, and we'll have Jill go ahead and explain that.
Yeah, so let me give everybody some background before we get started. Also, I want to welcome Darren May from Darren from Aquasol. He's in our audience this evening. We have 2 swim teams that swim at our pool. There, how's that? They are Sierra Sharks and Aquasol. Sierra Sharks is here April through July. Aquasol is primarily here in the fall, starting in August through about mid-November. And when I arrived at the district, there was a lot of conversation about these agreements, and so and these were generally done with fees that were negotiated between the general manager and the swim team. And so what I tried to do last year was bring forward a fee that would be approved by the board, much like our community center fees, so that there was transparency and knowledge about the fees that we were charging to the swim team. I did bring that forward to the Parks and Rec Committee, but what I found out was that it was a very complex issue that I didn't fully understand. And so we did some more work, and what we found was that the swim teams were being charged different fees and different requirements in their agreements. And so last year and this year as well, we are making sure that the fees are the same. We're making sure that there's consistency between the 2 agreements. It's also a rental agreement, not a license to operate. when you provide somebody a license to operate, it is kind of like they have sole use, and that's not at all what the swim teams do. It's a multi-use facility. The swim teams use a portion of our pool, they're renting the space from us, and the district has programs that run side by side. Also, there's other rental agreements that happen side by side. Another change that we made is that instead of requiring lifeguards, the swim teams hire district lifeguards for their programs. It's their responsibility to provide lifeguards. But an option is that they can hire our lifeguards. So, you know, for instance, if they had a volunteer, a parent that was a lifeguard and was a good lifeguard, they could use that volunteer and it would save them money instead of requiring that cost, that fee to the district. So, anyway, the fees offset the operational cost. There is an addition on page 2. I cited that the teams generate revenues of $18,091. Actually, that's supposed to be $29,000. If you go to attachment 9B, yeah, those two numbers is 29. So there is that figure there. Their recovery rate for our operations is anywhere from 64 to 71%. So they're doing their fair share of recovering our operation costs. Yes, there has been substantial repairs in the past because of a chemical imbalance in our pool and some other things that were not being routinely maintained. Mike Grassley has done a great job getting our pool back up and running efficiently, and so also I want to commend Mike that if you look on the attachment that talks about our operational costs, those costs have dropped between $6,000 and $7,000 on an annual basis. So we are recommending that we increase fees. Last year's fees were increased 5%. We're recommending that fees are increased 3%, even though our operational costs are going down. In addition, I want to acknowledge that the swim team's success is the district's success. Because if we price them out or we make it so expensive that families can no longer participate, then the swim teams are not renting as much time at the pool. They're not using as many times. So it's revenue to the district if the swim team is successful. So my remarks.
Okay, and taking it to the board for questions. I know how you have quite a few. And then we'll go up for public comment.
I don't have a few, actually, that came out of committee that you also agreed to, that the general manager would bring to the board meeting, and I don't see them in the packet. So the question is, what is the total increase for the Sierra Sharks?
Talking from last year, the year before that, from 10 years ago.
The contract or the agreement that we're working on?
A lot of those contracts are based upon how much they're using the pool, so I can't give you a specific number because I don't know the number of lanes or the hours that they're going to be recommending.
So how do we know how much revenue we're going to make, and where did you come up with 3%?
So what I gave you is that in 2019, the total fees paid was $16,077.
Right.
We are expecting a 3% increase. So as long as they do not use the pool less, I believe that Sharks at this point would like to use it more, that revenue will go up.
So what is the increased revenue,
3%.
which relates to what is the increased revenue in dollars?
I can do the math if you like.
Yeah.
29,000 times 23.
Yep. Sierra Sharks. What's the increase for the Sierra Sharks?
$483.51.
How many swimmers are there?
There are approximately 200 swimmers.
So 200 children divided into 482.31 is an increase of $2.41 per child per season. Season.
Your math is correctly?
So where did you get that a 3% increase was relevant to cover the cost of our equipment failure, our usage, and all the other issues that come up with running the pool?
My estimation is that the team used our pool side by side with the district programs probably half the time or less than public swim, swim lessons, lap swim, and all of those other things. So I think that my recommendation is what it is because they are doing more than their fair share of recovering the operational costs.
How many hours do the teams use our pool? And how many hours of public swim?
So if you go,
Typical daily pool schedule, it's 3-to-2 ratio.
so teams are generally, it depends upon the season. Generally, they're practicing before school starts and then also in the afternoon, but not
How
always.
many hours? How many hours have they used this year? What did you base your 3% recommendation on? That's been my question all along.
I think I have provided an explanation to that, and I cannot give you,
Which is what?
I just said, because the recovery rate I feel is acceptable, and that is my recommendation.
$482.
In terms of attachment D, I feel as though the recovery rate of 64% of the overall cost to operate the pool is acceptable.
Okay.
So it's based in your perception.
It is, as the general manager, that is my recommendation.
Okay, Felicity, do you have any comments, questions for the general manager?
Just a comment that inflation rates in the Bay Area have been about 4% over the past year. They're less in the United States in general, but I think we've all felt inflation in the cost of living. So to me, 3% seems reasonable. It's, everything's going up about that much.
Ellie, do you have any comments on this matter?
We could probably raise it more than 3%, but 3%, I feel, is reasonable and affordable.
Eric, do you have any comments?
Something that would have been helpful in this too, not just the numbers for the swim team, but the balance of that, how much do you generate pool passes, versus other, just to see how the other avenues of revenue for pool use then balance out the revenues we receive from the swim teams. Just a fuller picture. I recognize this simply addresses the swim teams and not the recommendation here, but I think for consideration that would be helpful to have.
Eric, I had trouble understanding what you said.
That's where the number said. I'm sorry, I'm usually much louder than that. I apologize.
Can you try again, please?
I will try again. What would have been helpful to me in this is to see the full picture of revenue, not simply the teams isolated. I agree with the rationale in terms of percentage of the pool cost recovered. I think in terms of their use is when they're paying a higher percentage, that's reasonable to me. What would be helpful in my consideration overall is to see the full revenue stream and see this in comparison to that, just to have a big picture without this in isolation, if that makes sense.
Okay, I have a few comments. I think this might answer your question. You're talking about a full picture of revenue. I thought that was provided to us on attachment 9B, where, let's see, for 2019, it says revenues received. Did you want that broken down like by month, or how would you want that broken down to be a full picture?
I'm not talking about simply the swim team, but talking about revenue from the pool. If this
Okay.
is to recover the costs of operation of the pool, this is a partial picture. And while it might be a balanced single percentage, and I don't have any problem with what's in front of me, it would have been helpful to see the whole picture, is what I'm saying. So we get revenue through pool passes, we get revenue through lessons, we get revenue through rental use, and other avenues. It would have been nice to see that those other avenues then make up the difference. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So the fact that we've got the revenue over expenses, you want to see more, you want to see the actual total income from other pool use.
Well, I think that's helpful in making a decision for setting these. I appreciate the general manager's work in trying to make this uniform, change it from total use to rental use. I think those are good changes. For me, in making a decision, it helps to see the whole picture. And so not just swim team revenue, but pool revenue, and understand the relation. And make sure that while swim teams are carrying a larger percentage, we are getting as close as possible to recovering our costs. We all know that that's nearly impossible in most CSDs for a pool. But just to see how close we're coming in the big picture, because that then affects our decision in terms of rate percentages for the teams as well.
Okay, so perhaps, with that information, but knowing that they are covering anywhere from 64 to 70% of our expenses, you would like to see more complete revenue, more
I'm saying
revenue.
that would have been helpful to me in making a decision, yes.
Okay.
So can you tell me where the replacement costs are included? I don't see the cost for chemicals.
As we discussed in Parks and Recreation, there's about $18,000 in mechanical mechanisms, mechanic repairs, that is dedicated to the community center, which includes the HVAC system, it includes all of our appliances, and then also the pool. So there's $18,000 dedicated to the entirety of the community center for mechanical repairs.
Where is that factored in, 3%?
It is not. It is not reflected in the information that I've provided to you.
Okay, so let's go ahead and bring this out to public comment.
When the Sierra Sharks, before the Sierra Sharks came in here, I went out when we were forced to have this pool because the majority of the community didn't want it. They knew the costs were going to be enormous and we wouldn't recover those costs. So I went out to some other pools in the area and talked to the managers, and specifically Folsom, which you can drive by that pool. There aren't people there all the time. And I talked to the general manager, and he says, Bill, you will never, if you're honest, recover much more than 50% of your costs. He said, that's it. He said, I've been doing this for years, and other areas, they weren't as genuine about their answers. They said, oh yeah, you'll get back 50, 60, maybe 65% of your costs. So when the Sharks came in here, I had a general manager that said, I want to get a contract with them because I want to be sure we get someone to use this pool. Well, I told him, I said, they're coming out of Ponderosa. Ponderosa just closed their pool. They had no other place to go. Let's get a legitimate number. He said, no, the first year, let's give them a real good contract. But we did. We gave them a good contract the first year. Second year, he said the same thing. We didn't up their rates. Third year, no increases. Fourth year, fifth year, sixth year, seventh year, eighth year. Now we're talking ninth or 10th year, and we're bragging about increasing rates 3% and 5%. I don't know anything about Aquasol, so I don't want to get too much into that. And I'm sure glad the Sharks aren't here, because when they are, they stand up and they ridicule me and they tell me, oh, I'm hurting little children and their parents can't afford it. And then I do an investigation and I find out 50-something% of these kids come out of El Dorado Hills, where all the poor people live, I know. They're pretty much destitute. They're living in their $1 million houses. So we're playing games with these numbers here, 3% and 5%. I know we can't dump on them because of the past 8 or 9 years, but 3%, 5%, just not right. We have to charge a more realistic rate, I know it won't get the 100%, but we can do better than what we're doing.
Thank you. Any further public comment?
Good evening. My name is Darren Bynum. I'm the head coach with the Oxbow swim team, and I'm also a resident here in Cameron Park and have been for the past 6 years. And we've been here for the past 5 years that I've been the head coach here, and I'd like to say I appreciate all the effort and the time that the GM and that the committee has put into everything that they've done. I've appreciated the forthright that they've come forward and all of the numbers they've done. I think they've done a fantastic job of fleshing out the business, and I think they've been very transparent. I think they've given to us and given us the numbers. So I appreciate their efforts greatly. We're a team of 75. We've grown to 140 this year because we are down here in Cameron Park. And right now we're at 148. And a lot of those people are here because we are moving into this community. And 99% of our residents, our team, are El Dorado County. And out of that, I want to say about 40 to 45% of the Cameron Park, Shingle Springs rescue area. Yes, we do draw from El Dorado Hills. We also draw from Placerville and from Poole and Coloma and those areas. And we have a great community, we have a great culture, and we really enjoy being down here. We run a very tight ship. We like to think that we run kind of a boutique team and that we very much value what we put for athletics. And we call them athletes. We don't just call them swimmers, but we also call them student athletes because we value what they get out of their education, both from what they get in the schools here and also what they get from our program here and what we're teaching them. By being here, we've been able to, in the summer or Christmas time, we've gone to do caroling with the kids. We've gone up to the upper room into Placerville. We've served dinners out there. We've also gone down to Sacramento County. We've done part things for the different shelters and given clothes. So we are very involved in the community, and it makes it much more accessible for us to be here than up in Union Mine. We've had a great relationship with Union Mine, and we like being at the pool. It's also a great pool, but this centralizes our location and allows us to serve the needs of a lot more people in our area because we are more accessible. The national rate, from what I understand from USA Swimming, is about $6 per hour per lane. So what is being proposed here is pretty much on par with what everyone else is being presented throughout the country. So I don't think it's off base. I also think as we're offering 64% to 71% of the monthly cost, if you look at soccer teams and basketball teams that are also using the facilities in this area, I think we're right in line, maybe even paying more than what they're being asked to do for them to use the soccer fields. So I appreciate, again, the work of the board. I appreciate what they're doing. I appreciate the opportunity that we've had to be here. And right now, it's actually about to up. They're putting covers on the pool right now. We just had 40 kids out there getting after it. We have kids that just swim for the love of the sport, that are contributing to the high school teams. We have kids that are swimming off in college and making scholarships. So we're very happy with our program. We're excited to be part of this. We'd love to be a part of this on a year-round basis when we're here. So thank you.
Thank you. Any further public comment on this agenda item? Okay, board.
So let me answer a couple of questions that Eric had about all revenues, from swim passes and swim lessons, lab swim, pass sales and things like that. What is difficult at this time to ferret out of that is that those fees actually go to parks and to recreation for lifeguards. And so I cannot at this point figure out how much revenue. I would need to kind of quarry out all of the lifeguard costs, the training costs, the pool equipment costs, all of that to give you an answer. And so I just don't have the ability to do that. What we are doing is that we are setting up specific tracking measures in our budget for some of these programs that are important to track. For example, we've set up a program for ambulance services in the JPA so that we track those costs and we understand what we can be reimbursed from the JPA. We're doing this with the pool, in that whether it's a lifeguard that's checking in, the facilities person that's checking in, or it's mine, when they check in, they put the pool code in there, and we will be able to provide a report that shows revenues and expenditures. So that's item one. Right now, the board does not have a property tax allocation coming to the community center, or a very little one coming to the community center, and none coming to the recreation program. Staff has taken that directive, and we are on a path now to try to offset all or most of our costs associated with the community center and the pool through fees, donations, sponsorships, and all of those things. We're on that path now. I'm not sure that we're going to be fully successful or not, but that was the board directive, and that's what we're doing. We're coming back to the Parks and Recreation Committee next month with a more defined recreation budget based on these sponsorships, grants. And then, there's one more point, because it comes back to my brain. It won't come back, so, sorry.
Okay, board, any further questions? Are we ready to take a vote, make a decision? Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the pool facility use fees as presented in the staff report.
Is there a second?
I would second that motion.
Go ahead and do a poll vote.
Director Scotty?
Aye.
Director Morrison?
No.
Director Carlson? Aye. Director Wooten?
Aye.
Director Easton?
Aye.
Okay, the pool facility use fee passed 4-1. And this point came back to me, I apologize for this confusion. These fees are reviewed annually. It is our intent to review all fees for the district on an annual basis, and so you will see these again, and we can make adjustments.
Why not subsidize
Okay,
taxpayers' money?
moving on to item 10, review and approve the resolution 2019-22, adopting findings supporting amendments to the fire code in the first reading of proposed code 2019.11.20 fire code ordinance. I believe we have a code reading. Yeah, so Sherry's going to help me out with this. First, I want to thank Chief Smith for working on this and preparing all of these things, along with Nikki Garrison, who worked with Chief Smith to get this prepared and ready for you this evening. We were kind of on a tight time frame when this came forward, and there is another revision, I believe, this evening that Sherry is going to talk with you about. I do want to let you know that the fire committee, Felicity and Helen can talk about this a little bit more. Fire committee did hear a presentation about this and moved this forward for the board's consideration. And so, anything else you needed to add, Sherry, or are you ready to go? Oh, good.
You have a very small packet in front of you, and I'm just going to go through it. It's going to be an overview of the process and the ordinance. So on page 1, this is why are we doing this? And every 3 years, the International Fire Code is revised, and California takes that code and adopts it with amendments that are specific to the state. And that's on that little packet that I gave you.
Okay, so there's no slides.
That's right. And then, the local fire department adopts and amends the California Fire Code to fit the local needs. The next page, the local fire board district holds 2 meetings on the topic. The process is they'll have an intro and a first reading, which is tonight, and then at the next board meeting next month is going to be a public hearing and the second reading, and then that's
adopt the ordinance. Once the ordinance, this happens to every district around the county that is happening, and once the boards adopt it, it goes to the board of supervisors, the county board of supervisors, then they will, they'll adopt the ordinance and send it to the board of supervisors for resolution or application. And then on January 1st, it becomes law. So there's a timeline of process for this, and this is the first reading, so the second reading goes to the Board of Suits, and then in January it becomes law. So the next page, the participants in the development. There's the El Dorado County Fire Prevention Officers Association, which there's fire marshals from, prevention officers from every district, and they work closely and to actually adopt or actually to come up with any amendments or changes to the El Dorado County Fire Code that we're talking about right now. Next page. The resolution, this resolution is called a findings of fact, and it's needed to justify the need for local fire code amendments based on, there's two different parameters here. One is climate, and it's local climate conditions that affect acceleration and intensity of seismic fire. And then you have the geographic and topographical issues. The one that this resolution is based on is climate. So I put a little star next to it there. This is going to be what is used to justify the need for the amendments here in El Dorado County. Next page. The California Fire Code amendments, and there's a matrix attached on here, and it kind of on the copy that I gave you, and it instead of reading, the book is this thick, this summarizes all the changes and amendments on the matrix that's in this packet right here that you should show. And I'm going to go over some of the big, kind of the significant changes, and then you can feel free to read anything on that matrix. So the significant changes, next page, there's open burning, recreational fires and outdoor fireplaces. These were amended. There's some more restrictions on the clearance of flammable materials around the piles. And then they've also written some more stringent rules pertaining to open fires within grass, brush, and tree-covered areas. Next page. Another significant change is the fire protection system to the sprinkler system ordinances and requirements, and also PG&E power outages. Allows fire alarm systems to have power for an extended amount of time, and we've already ran into that for power outages. Alarms don't have backup power systems, and so that obviously creates an issue, and that's all stuff we're learning. So they were able to address that in this round, and it's not going to happen again for 3 years, so they did what they could in this one. Next page. Another significant change is energy systems, and for the emergency and standby power systems. Obviously, now that we have generators that are being installed, and there's going to be a switch that allows total power shutdown to the building to help provide safety for firefighters when they're entering the structure. Next page, another significant change describes fire department access requirements, water identification standards, more stringent roof construction standards. And next page, hazardous materials, cost recovery for negligent acts, those fireworks standards, and it allows the district to put specific requirements in a contract when they're hiring a vendor or another contractor to put on a fireworks show, which is something that really affects Cameron Park in that we use a barge on the lake, and we want to know how they're going to secure the rafts to the barge on a moving object, and we were not able to ask that before. It was actually the vendor told to know. So there's a lot of things in the angle. You guys have people all around there, the angle of fire. We were also denied asking them that. And now this will take care of that. So anything that we ask for, they are required by ordinance to provide us. And that sums it up. You know, the next page, there's several pages there, like I said. It's pretty clear in the, it identifies the amendment, what's the change, and then why there's a change. And so, and there are so many changes in there, but I went over the significant ones. This is very standard. It's going to happen every 3 years. You have all of the subject matter experts in the county that meet and go over this in detail and things that are affecting the building department and all the agencies that are listed in there. And all the changes are a compilation of what they have put together, and it will. This is more of a, we need the board support to approve the ordinance so the board of supervisors can, move it into law. So, are there any questions on this?
Holly, you have any questions? Will there be questions? Ellis, question?
I see it was pretty explicit. Very well done.
Eric, question?
I have a question. On the campfire, is this, how does that affect, is this written to affect the homeless when they're, because we've had some fires started when they're cooking fires, so just, is there a relationship there?
No, I mean, homeless people, you can fight them and they'll use a vacation to start a fire to make dinner. I mean, really that's more of the hot team getting involved and trying to, they start fires to cook
And then, you were talking about the backup generators. Is that something that we as a district need to look into for our fire stations?
Our fire stations do have generators.
They already do?
Yes.
Okay.
89 had one. This year, Dean's worked on getting fixed 88. And as a matter of fact, in this last power outage, 88 power did go out and we utilized it, thank goodness, and 89 did not.
Yeah. Okay, good. And then just, final question. Do you think that in the future that regular home fireplaces, wood fireplaces would be restricted?
There's already restrictions actually on homes, on fireplaces, depending on where you live. Could I see that happening? Yes, I could in the future.
Okay, I know, sorry, I know that.
Right, exactly.
So was there any discussion?
That would be air pollution control, really get their control of that, but, yeah, very possible, eventually.
Okay, I was just curious, was there any discussion that was brought up?
Oh, I don't know. I can certainly ask that question, but it wouldn't be in the fire code here. That would be air pollution control.
Okay, all right, thank you. Those were my questions. What was the, I'm sorry, Ellie.
I just have one question, it has nothing to do with fire. But in the case of emergencies, PG&E does have fire system. Do the stations themselves have something for people who are on respirators and can't plug it in or get the energy or?
There's a whole system that's in place and it's developing and fine-tuning, but through the Illinois County Office of Emergency Services, there was a station set up in Placerville for a charging station, and there's also systems in place to help people out with powering up medical facilities and things and ensuring that people have that they're taken care of. So there was a facility open in Placerville specifically for that.
If they are in need right then and there, Placerville is quite a place for them.
Yes, so
Would there in the future be something up there?
This was a very planned outage, and people, if anybody knew that didn't know that it wasn't going to happen, I think that, I don't know, if anyhow, if someone needed help immediately, you're going to get the fire department, you're going to get the ambulance, and they're going to call 911, they're going to get taken care of.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no further questions from the board? Okay. Public comment? Jed?
I did have money that was.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that.
Just a question, because we're recognizing we're living in a new state now with the rolling outages and all of this. Is there anything in the discussion for the future in terms of requirement for PG&E, particularly in our area, keep certain grids, certain areas on regardless. So for instance, the 50 corridor here was open, and that's why one of our, or was on, that's why one of our fire stations was open. The other one was up by our house is out there, out too. Is there discussion in that could then be coordinated to address potentially some of the concerns that Director Root brought up in terms of locations that more locally?
Yes, it's actually quite complicated, and we've had some pretty briefings from some pretty high up PG&E folks who explain the transmission lines and how shutting down a transmission line can affect all these thinkers that are really out of their control. And although PG&E is working on putting in switches and doing things where they can start breaking all that up, the hospitals, all these places are identified as the last possible ones to turn off and the first to re-energize. So they do have a plan for that. I mean, and we only know as much as what they tell us. You know, we get the info as much as possible. I know that that's a priority for them, is to keep certain facilities open. The fact that south of 50 and this little blurb right here that stayed hot was all tied into how the grid is wired.
Right.
And that was,
There's still, there seems there's no rhyme or reason to it,
Yeah.
and that people don't understand origination points and connection.
They-
Right.
yeah, and there's maps you can go online and actually kind of see some of that stuff. PG&E has a website, well, it crashed, of course, but you can go on there and look and see stuff.
Would it behoove communities to be proactive in terms of identifying grids that could then be in coordination with public services, emergency services, to then be, say, as you plan this, here would be a central area that is helpful to such and least impact in terms of fire danger and all that?
I think we need
Maybe, Eric, you should speak with her outside the board meeting, okay?
I was relating to the thing we're talking about here, not really talk about.
Okay, so one.
One other question. But since we have an airport, I have heard, and I'd like confirmation, that most of our PG wiring and all that is underground. Is that correct? Most of it, I'll say.
I'm not aware of that. I know we have, it over, but even the power that's underground was at some point above ground, and so I think that your transmission lines, if it's gonna shut down above ground, and it's tied into the underground, so it'll shut the underground down. So,
We're getting a little off topic and talking about PG&E. Why don't we come back to our topic at hand, and did you?
So, yeah, let me do a couple of things with the resolution. And so first, if you go to page 2 of the report, just for transparency, that the recommended action, there's a typo there, it should be 2019-14 for the resolution. It's correct on page 1, I just wanted to cite, to not have any confusion. Also, in the resolution, after now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Cameron Park Community Services District, after having fully noticed and held, it says public hearing. Our public hearing is actually going to be next month in November. Tonight, we just simply had a public meeting. So if you would, when you approve the resolution, make sure that you change out the hearing for the meeting. And then there has been some conversation related to page 2, 2 of 4 findings of fact, second paragraph, 2 of 4 under findings of fact. In the second paragraph, it cites a population number of 23,000 people. I usually use a population number of about 18,000 people because that's what the census is, and I know the census is in 2010. And the fire department may be using a different source for that population number, but Sherry and I are going to track it down and make sure that it's revised and corrected in the findings of fact as we move forward to our public hearing in November. And then lastly, just to remind you that we changed the agenda, that we're introducing the ordinance by title only. We are going to waive the first reading of the full ordinance, and then we've already discussed and take public testimony, so. That's it.
All right, board, do we have a motion?
Well, now we can have that. We can take public comments first.
Public comment.
Oh, I
don't have any.
I have judgment myself. All right, board, do we have a motion?
Good, so there won't be any public here. Sure.
Like, move, but I'm not honestly sure if I can get the words right. Move to approve the first reading.
Introduce the ordinance by title only. The title of the ordinance.
Okay, I move to approve resolution 2019-22, adopting the minutes to declare the first meeting of proposed 2019-11.
And
May I make a recommendation?
Yes.
And does that include introducing the proposed ordinance by title only, waiving the first reading, and opening for discussion? For discussion.
And that include introducing the ordinance by title only.
Waiving first reading.
Waiving first reading and opening for discussion.
And changing the word hearing to meeting
Yes.
in the ordinance.
I said that.
Oh, just if you repeat that, please. Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, and do we have, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
5-0.
All right, moving on to board informational items, and let's go ahead on to general matters to and from. That. Do we want to start, or?
Yeah, I can start. I just got a really quick few updates, and I wanted everyone to know that October 1st came too quickly for us to be ready with the budget, our year end from fiscal year 18-19, and also our first quarter. To make a correction, we are in our fourth month of the budget. Halfway through. Also, the county numbers were not finalized till the latter part of September. And so, and that's what Vicki told me weeks ago when we finally got our numbers in. So, just know that I know we had public testimony that it was in August, it was not. They closed middle to late part of September, and that's when the numbers came to the district. So apologize that we were not ready to go to budget admin on October 1st, but I did want to report, one, fiscal year 18-19 year end is ending in the positive, literally. Not by a lot, but we did not rely on the fund balance of the district to fund our operations or any of our capital investments. We'll have a full report next month. But I wanted to share at least some preliminary good news to you. This is unaudited, we just have to go through our audit, Vicki's conclusion on the numbers. Also, we have reviewed our first quarter of our 19-20 budget, and we're looking fine after our first quarter. So I wanted to share that news with you. Kate is returning to work on Thursday. We're looking forward to seeing her. Bob is going to continue until Kate gets back up to full capacity. So we're looking forward to seeing her. And then also, I just wanted to let the board know, we had some discussion about this, but the community center was open during the PG&E outage, and we did have folks here, and one of your board members was here as well, take advantage of our power. And so we also were a resource center. We had folks calling us. We were referring people up to Placerville, and we also have that information posted on our website. So anyway, I think we were a little bit helpful during that time. That's it.
Holly, matters to inform? Felicity?
Yes, on Saturday night, I went to a fundraiser for the nomadic shelter. Some people, I don't know if anybody else besides the church. Yes, at the church, fundraiser at the church up on the hill. And so I just learned about the nomadic shelter, which houses homeless from November until March. And they rotate through 5 different church halls, one church a night. They have volunteers who cook meals and who actually spend the night at the churches with the homeless people. And then the individuals are scanned through, I think, a metal detector before they come in. And apparently, pictures taken, apparently it's quite a few elderly people, maybe about 30-something people. And the nomadic shelter has a trailer or a truck with mattresses that they cart around to the different churches. They are looking for another place for these individuals to spend the night, as they only have 5 nights. And I really would like my fellow board members, after discussion and understanding what it would entail from staff, to consider using our hall here to shelter some of these people 1 or 2 nights a week from November to March. And this is in the spirit of protecting and enhancing the quality of life of our community. I'm not really sure what the next I would need to do if I were to go further. I could ask Jill.
Yeah, if you give me some contact information, I can at least start that conversation and see what the expectations would be.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay,
We'll be taking them Monday night, starting with them.
Ellie, matters to inform?
I'm sorry, but doing 9.
Ellie, do you have anything matters to inform?
No, not CC&Rs. Thank goodness for Bob, because I could run that thing that he's running. But apparently he's been doing a good job, and he was happy until I brought him chickens. And now he's got to take care of chickens, but he's doing fine, and I'm very happy to have him.
Thank you. Eric, matters to inform?
Just a couple of things. I always look for opportunities to say thanks. So Mike and your team, I live on the other side of the pond by Rasmussen, northern Kern Valley States, and I love this time of year, hearing whistles and soccer and cheering, and hearing that just about everywhere I go around our communities become part of the noise of the season, and I love it. So I just really, not just as a former coach, but appreciate the work you all do to add that to our community, continue to work with it. So just thank you. There's small benefits to that, but they're huge. Also wanted to just say, not to promote a business over another, but to recognize this grand opening tonight, just around the corner across the street for R.C. Henning Coffee Company, across the street from Bike Shop. And this is a company that came out of Santa Cruz, setting up shop here in the last few months. So they will be selling beans and all that. So I just popped in with a bunch of wonderful ladies in there, and they gave me a mug, which I'm grateful for. I'm not giving it to you because you weren't there tonight. That's for sale there. But just to promote local businesses looking for opportunities to do that. And in line with that, encourage my fellow board members, remind us about the November 21st County Chamber event that's going to happen here. And I will say now because it's the night after our next general board meeting. So it would be really short to wait for next month. So I'm planning to be there. Encourage any of you can come to that as well, just to mix and mingle and raise the name of Cameron Park. So yes, 5:30 to 7:30 in here on Thursday, November 21st.
That's being sponsored by Joe's Coffee Shop in Delhi and Fenton. And
Fantastic. One thing I have is, let's see, I attended the CSEA meeting. And I have some more to go. So that's what I have.
Okay, so moving off of matters to be fun onto item 12.
Holly?
Lasso?
We were dark last.
Okay, so no Lasso report.
Moving on to item 13, committee reports. Let's see, in budget and admin, I see a report out on that, is I wanted to bring your attention to the staff report that was provided this month in the consent agenda, touched all the different districts. We had, instead of having the entire packet from all of our previous agenda items, they were all touched upon in the summarized for us by the general manager in the report, and that came through the budget and admin committee. And so we're not quite done with our efficient meeting policies. There will be more coming to the board for voting on the items that need further investigation and vetting by legal counsel. So those will be coming to the board for you guys to review. The ones that came, the agenda change did not raise to that level. Job descriptions, we talked about those. We were not able to bring those to you, but I believe they'll be coming next month in the consent agenda. Yeah, so you'll be getting a big list of job descriptions. And furthermore, we did get an update from staff that the budget actuals and so forth, as Jill already mentioned, were going to be coming in November. And we discussed that. We also went through the check register quite thoroughly. And we are looking forward to a 5-year budget projection and to bring that to you in the upcoming months. Is that correct, Jill? Yes. And perhaps we're looking also at our reserve policy and bringing that to the board as well. And the other item we brought to the board from budget admin was the District of Distinction Certificate, which was under the consent agenda. That's my report now. Next. Is there anything else under, well, the next one says DCNRs. Oh, we heard from Ellie. Elliot, yeah, yours, okay. And then,
And just to piggyback on Elliot, she may have forgotten, you did send 2 homes to legal for a letter. So we did send 2 homes, residents, because they're unresponsive to us to ask our attorney to send a letter to them. So right now, our attorney contacted 3 homeowners in the area.
Thank you.
okay.
Fire and Emergency Services is part of the request from Budget and Admin was to review 5-year strategic plan. And we spent quite a bit of time on this and went through this. Chief Moran and Chief Gaines were in attendance. The general manager wasn't there, so the 4 of us held the meeting. And we were able to designate all of the areas that were presented to us, the designations of not implemented, partially implemented, and objective recommended to work forward. We also discussed the changes to the state responsibility area and local responsibility areas, or SRA and LRA. And there is a map that shows the changes, and I'm going to ask Chief Moran to give a couple sentences on what those designation changes mean to our district.
So I handed out a color map. It's a little bit easier to read. There's like gray shaded area, 2 sections there that are around that Robin Lane area, and then Palmer Drive, you can see there's about 80 acres. Every 5 years, the State Board of Forestry is mandated to do a review of state responsibility area lands and who has the financial responsibility to provide fire protection. The parameters are that the change would occur from SRA to LRA when there are 3 residences or more per acre or commercial growth on an area of 250 acres. So, like I said, every 5 years this is done statewide, and this is 2 sections right here meet those, the parameters of doing that transfer, that switch. How it affects the district, because the district contracts with CAL FIRE, it's not an issue. The district is, CAL FIRE is going to provide fire protection for it. If CAL FIRE did not contract with them, the district would be financially responsible for providing fire protection there. So it's standard, it's pretty cut and dry, and I presented it as an advisement to the board that this is what's going up to the board portion. They ultimately make the ultimate decision on what they're going to do. This is the recommendation because it meets black and white, it meets the parameters.
Understood. Thank you very much. We also obviously reviewed the 2019 amended California Fire Code and moved that forward to the board tonight. Director Carlson gave a report on the Code Red concept and the number of households and her conversations with various, an attempted conversation with various representatives around the county, including CAL FIRE and the Sheriff's Office, etc. And then we also... Oh, yes, of course.
Okay. Yeah, so as I don't remember who got elected at the same time I did, I think, anyway, there was an election last year, I was sworn in, and then 2 days later there was a campfire in Paradise, and as we all know, we're in a very similar, very, very new world, and it was the first time I realized Cameron Park seems so safe, but it's actually potentially very dangerous. So one of the articles I read after the campfire was, and also Santa Rosa, was that the number one task that actually Santa Rosa wanted to do after every fire was to make sure that they had a really robust alert system. That was their first priority. So pretty much since December, I've been trying to find out how many households in Cameron Park are signed up for Code Red. I don't have an answer yet. I did submit a public records act request to the Office of Emergency Services. I think there's a misunderstanding. I have not had a chance to circle back, speak with them in person, except I did actually get to meet the sheriff on Sunday for an event, and spoke with him about wanting this information, and he wanted to talk about it again and see if we could get that information. So we're working on it, but I think this is another example of our new world that we live in with power shutoffs and drier vegetation and winter winds and whatever's happening, where maybe agencies we need to just keep working together and keep working at it so that we can do our best to protect our quality of life.
So we discussed that for a while. And then we requested at mid-year to bring back the reserve, $22,000 in reserve funds that were approved in July of 2017 on the consent calendar by the board of directors for the fire marshal to have the I-plan touch table. So we'll discuss, that'll be brought back in mid-year. Fire emergency services.
Questions before you do questions? Sherry, on the, actually, I guess this question is for Jill. So if these, so Sherry, these gray areas are now going to be part of our fire department? Yes. So in Cameron Park, the land will be designated as a local responsibility area for the state, because Cameron Park has got already lands in it, but it's not Cameron Park Community Services District Fire Services, or it is?
That's only for wildland fires.
It's a financial responsibility, the land designates the financial responsibility to provide fire protection. So there are areas in Cameron Park, your district boundaries, that are FRA lands for our responsibility. That's what those are now going to move to your responsibility for providing fire protection. Financial. So then that
beg the question, are we collecting property tax?
No.
On that?
So they're already within our district boundaries. Yes, and so we haven't changed our district boundaries. We simply changed the designation of who is the primary responsibility for the financial wildfire.
If the fire fee that has been suspended, the SRA fee, that was occurring right now, the folks in there would no longer receive that bill eventually. But that's suspended, so it wasn't affecting it.
Great, okay, thank you.
Quick addition to minor piece. If it's possible, we need to scan it above the website for color documents. If it could be made into color, because I read the minutes and maybe it was black and white and I couldn't tell anything on this. And that was, Chief Marines asked about what the area was because I couldn't tell. So if we could do that in color, that'd be really helpful both for my own prep and anybody else who's interested. Thank you.
Holly?
So Parks and Recreation, first item was the pool facility use fees. We know the outcome of that, and unfortunately, the general manager didn't factor in the pool equipment replacement cost, and the most obvious factor is the tens of thousands of gallons of water that we pay for. Our second topic is strategic plan objectives, and again, the assignment was to review the 5-year plan, and so we went through this, and also Director Scobie and I designated whether they were not implemented, partially implemented, or objective recommended to go forward, and those will go up, I guess, back to staff and possibly back to budget admin, I don't know. They go after that.
So the route will be that each committee reviews the strategic objectives assigned to their service area, and then it will come back to staff to consolidate a report from all of the committees and bring it back to the full board.
And 3 recommended bikeway and sidewalk maps. Those have been out the last couple of meetings. We made recommendations based on what was on the map, whether we thought they were workable, made sense, extensive enough, not extensive enough. And we talked about the park sign for Holiday Ryan Park and the next steps. We're looking for someone who does wood routing, and that's the problem where we are right now. The cost to do not even a powder coated, just a metal sign with a sheet with a wrap on it is about $300. So, anybody knows anybody who does it? Scouts used to do it all the time. All of our classic signs in the district are those wood routing. And I guess Carlos doesn't do that anymore. Have anybody do that long art?
The population counts.
Yeah.
So, we don't have a lot of.
Well,
No. That was our first go-to. So, there was a grant writer whose services were retained, and then general manager sent out a note about the field trip, and you'll all respond to that.
Looking like Saturday, everyone. I'll come up with some dates. But thank you for all of your interest on that. I think it'll be a great field trip, and I'll throw out some Saturday options.
Thanks. Eric, would you report out solar energy?
My battery's dying. Here we go. This is right about. So the Solar Ad Hoc Committee met as a panel to interview 3 potential vendors for, as consultants for a potential solar energy project. We interviewed 3 of them, and
In November. In November.
in November, right?
Great. Okay. We are now moving on to our next agenda item, public comment for the closed session. Is there anybody here who'd like to comment on that? Okay, seeing none, we will now move into closed session.